All right, so today we're going to deconstruct the pitch from a digital marketing agency called The Violet. And what's really interesting here is that they're not just selling you ads or, a bunch of social media posts. They're actually selling a whole new way for businesses to think about growth.
So yeah, that typical agency pitch about, hey, we'll run your ads, we'll manage your socials, you can pretty much throw that out the window here. The Violet's entire business model, it's built on something way deeper, much more integrated.
And this is their central promise. It's this idea of a predictable, scalable revenue engine. It's not about these one-off campaigns that might or might not work. Nope. They're selling the idea of building a system, an engine, if you will, that just keeps generating revenue consistently. Okay, but what does that actually mean? I mean, a revenue engine sounds awesome, right? But what does it really take to build something like that? Let's break down how they say they do it. Well, it all starts with their core philosophy. They're pretty clear. They don't see themselves as just another service you buy. It's framed as a true partnership. The goal isn't just to check off a list of tasks. It's to literally embed themselves into the company's strategy, its operations, the whole shebang. Now, to really get what they're offering, we first have to look at the problem they're trying to solve. And trust me, it's a super common one for a ton of companies out there. And this quote from one of their clients, Arjun Seth, just hits the nail on the head. He talks about being stuck in a cycle of random tactics. You know that feeling, right? Trying a little bit of social media here, throwing some money at ads there, but none of it is connected by a real unified strategy.
So, what's the result of all those random tactics? Well, a lot of the time, you end up chasing things that look good on a report, but don't actually help the business. We're talking about likes, shares, impressions, the classic vanity metrics.
And check this out. Another client, Mira Reddy, confirms this exact pain point. She says they were tired of those vanity metrics and that the Violet actually delivered on their promise to focus on what really matters, actual business results.
Okay, so if the big problem is random, disconnected tactics, what's the solution? For the Violet, everything, and I mean everything, starts with strategy. Specifically, a model they call the Fractional CMO. Now, if you're not familiar with that term, a fractional CMO is basically a top-level marketing executive that you hire on a part-time or contract basis. So instead of just having someone manage campaigns, their job is to give you that high-level, big-picture, strategic direction that a full-time chief marketing officer would provide. And this is their roadmap for it. First, they start with the big picture, strategic planning and road mapping. Then they get into brand persona development, really figuring out who you are and who you're talking to. But this third step, this is the real kicker. Team development and management. It's not just about them doing the work, it's about making the client's own team better. That's about building up your internal capacity, not just making you dependent on them.
Of course, a brilliant strategy is pretty useless if you can't actually execute on it. So how do they take that high-level plan and turn it into real, concrete action?
Okay, what I think is really cool here is the clarity. This isn't just a random list of platforms. It's a strategic breakdown. They're using Google Ads to grab people who are already searching for a solution. They use social media on Meta to scale the brand. LinkedIn, that's for zeroing in on B2B decision makers. And YouTube is for big, high-impact video. See? Every single tool has a very specific job to do.
And it looks like they've got the whole toolkit to back it all up. We're talking about everything from web development for B2B and e-commerce to performance marketing, SEO, all of the design services you'd need for video and print, even account-based marketing. They're really positioning themselves as a one-stop shop to get the entire growth plan done.
So that's the model in a nutshell. Strategy first, then full funnel execution. But the big question is, does it actually work? Well, let's take a look at some of the results and client testimonials they use as proof. Right away, they hit you with hard numbers. We're talking over 5,000 leads generated for their clients. And the key thing here is that they're tying their work directly to a real, tangible outcome, not just those fuzzy vanity metrics we talked about earlier. And this quote from Vikram Singh is a perfect example of that in action. He directly connects their account-based marketing, or ABM approach, to a real business result. You know, ABM is that strategy where you target specific high-value companies instead of just casting a wide net. And for him, the result was a pipeline filled with high-value leads, not just random clicks, but actual potential customers. They also use social proof to build credibility. They highlight a community of over 15,000 trusted users, which is their way of showing the scale and, the reliability of what they do.
And this last quote from Sneha Patel, this really brings everything full circle. Remember that team development part of their strategy? This is it. She says that most agencies try to replace your team, but the Violet made theirs better. They helped define KPIs, provided training, they built a high-performance culture inside the company. This just hammers home that core idea of it being a partnership, not just another vendor.
So when you really boil it all down, the Violet's entire pitch comes down to this one big question. Is the future of marketing just buying a service, or is it about finding a true partner? It's a choice between hiring someone to just do tasks or bringing in an expert to help you build that revenue engine from the inside out. It's a really fundamental shift in thinking, and definitely something worth chewing on.